This is Colorado today, but it looks like way back when. An old-time railroad train puffing along between the old-time frontier towns of Silverton and Durango. Those passengers with cameras are railroad fans, and more fans along the right-of-way. Well, this is one of the last of America's narrow-gauge lines, and today it goes out of service. Something to remember, just to have seen old 497, but to have traveled on her can rate you high on the esoteric sport of riding the rails. Yup, a rocky trip, but it's a rocky roadbed, blasted years ago out of Rocky Canyon walls. Other horses might outspeed the narrow-gauge iron horse, but no horse could compete hauling gold and silver out of them thar hills, or in recent years hauling supplies to the towns that gold and silver created a century ago. A colorful relic passing now into transportation history, loaded with fans taking a last romantic ride on an historic narrow-gauge railway. These driving wheels and pistons power something more up-to-date, the kind of engine that thrills another variety of railroad fan. Yup, a scale miniature, and the builder has duplicated every detail of a modern steam locomotive. He's known as a live steamer, one of more than 6,000 members of live steamer clubs from coast to coast. This is the Live Steam Model Locomotive Club of Southern California, and it runs all over the premises of Brother Richard Jackson in Beverly Hills. That's Brother Jackson there, firing up another scaled-down beauty. You can insult men like these by referring to their rolling stock and equipment as playthings, or by asking, do their locomotives run by electricity? They do not. They burn coal or oil, just like the big ones. To build this engine, 5,000 hours of a man's life. The tiniest details completely accurate. And of course, everything operates. All that's needed here is a miniature red cap. A water tank. No road's complete without one. And what's in here? Ah, a miniature hand car. And like everything else, scaled 1 inch to the foot. Is this real? Let's look inside. Looks real inside, but just another scale model. Precision work to the tiniest accessory. That's what fools you. Mind closing the door, mister? Thank you. And the lantern goes on the caboose. Well, I'll be hanged, too. Live steamers are men from every walk of life, but with something in common. They love locomotives so much that they eventually build one themselves. They'll build a whole railroad system, turntables and tracks. Everything a big railway has. Switches that switch, signals that sig. Trains that can couple automatically. And every detail of those couplers completely authentic. And they'll make plenty of speed on a quarter-mile track where everything's to scale except the engineer. All over the country on weekends and vacations, at live steamer clubs and sometimes just in their own backyards, you'll find grown-up men doing in later life what they must have wanted to do when they were youngsters, getting involved in a romance with a railroad. Come on, fellas. What? These Lilliputian locos have power to spare. They can haul quite a load. And get that sound, those wheels rumbling over the tracks. The only thing lacking is a bit more seat room for the customers. With simple tools and about $75 worth of materials, you can build a locomotive like this yourself, if you have about 4 years of spare time. Yep, here she comes, crowded with customers who have a hobby they really can ride. Let's move now to slightly larger scale models like this colorful replica of the old Central Pacific Diamond Stacker. There's authenticity and charm in every old-fashioned detail. And no wonder, for the owner's an expert on charm, Mr. Walt Disney. There's Walt there firing the boiler. Real coal in small sizes, just like any model coal burner uses. Here on Walt's estate in Beverly Hills, he loves to play engineer to this beautiful choo-choo that's scaled 1.5 inches to a foot. A miniature lubrication system. All parts and equipment precision made. They have to be, they're so small. Takes time to build pressure in the boiler. This baby, just like a big baby, needs babying to develop an operating pressure of 100 pounds to the square inch. When it gets up there, Walt will be ready to go. Looks as though he's ready to go now. A central control panel in the Disney barn lays out the route and operates switches and signals over the half-mile-long system, with its rails of iron or alloy fastened to cedar ties with miniature railroad spikes. And here come the passengers, Walt's nieces and nephews. Maybe they thought they were going to be the crew with those sailor outfits. They've ridden on Uncle Walt's train plenty of times, but its appeal is always new and exciting. On Disney's half-mile of track, practically every real railroad situation is duplicated. This is one of the most elaborate private lines in the world. Remote controls route the small fry express right through. Downgrades, upgrades, whatever you'd encounter anywhere, you're liable to encounter here, concentrated into 5 minutes running time. And if you scare easily, there's always the engineer's lap. The NN&D, the nieces, nephews, and Disney, wasn't just built. It was engineered from blueprints right up to trestles and overpasses like this one. Model trains, exact replicas of the big ones that have helped make our history. American railroad trains, so fascinating to all of us, whether we build little ones or ride on big ones. Whether we're actual railroaders or just confused commuters trying to catch that 8:15. Hey, Mac, you forgot your briefcase.